Hey guys, so about a few weeks ago, I would say like about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I released my book. It's called What If I'm Gay? How to Overcome Your Homosexuality OCD. If you haven't checked it out yet, go buy it. It's really cheap right now. It's like $8 for the paperback version, then I think $4 for the Kindle. It was 99 cents for like a whole month for both the paperback and the Kindle, but sadly that promotion is no longer available, but you can still buy it at an affordable price. And if you're going through OCD, more specifically HOCD, it can honestly help you so much. And yeah, go buy it. It'll be in the link in the description below, as well as some consulting services that I'm gonna start doing now because I officially landed my first client, and I want to see if I can maybe help more of you guys more on a one-on-one basis, because as of right now I'm only giving advice for free, and I tell people usually when I give advice for free that I can't get back to you on the dot or when you need me to, because I have my own life to live. I have other people who ask for advice as well, and it does take some time away from my day to honestly respond to paragraphs of people's stories, and you know, it can get overwhelming sometimes, so just bear with me. But I'm going to start doing that, so if you're interested, that'll also be in the description below, as long as my email, so you can contact me and we can go over pricing info and things like that. But to get back to today's topic, so today's topic is going to go about how to avoid getting into an argument. So what happened with me? So I released my book, right? And stupidly, I included some people's names in the book, specifically my ex-girlfriend's name. Now, I included her name in the book, but I honestly didn't think it was a big deal, at least for me, because if someone included my name in a book, I would not care. But when she found out the book was being released, she texted me about it later that day, and she asked if her name was in the book, and I said, yeah, it's in the book, but it's only like a sentence, and your name's only mentioned once, and it's just your first name, which I thought wouldn't be a big deal, but it was a big deal to her, and she said that that's an invasion of her privacy. That's not okay that I did that without asking her, and that was just not cool. And so what happened after that? We got into a argument over text that lasted for about a day or two, and I said some things that I regret. I said some things like, you know, the world doesn't revolve just around your feelings, and I said other things that I probably shouldn't have. I was just being really defensive because, you know, that was the release of my book, and I worked so hard up until that point that I just wanted everything to go smoothly, and I just got caught up in my own head, and I took things, I guess, too personal, and I didn't think about how other people would react if their name was in the book. So what happened? So we basically were going back and forth and arguing and over text, and at the end of the day, she unfollowed me on all social media, so we're not friends on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and anything like that anymore. And I was pretty sad. I was like, oh, that sucks, you know, I didn't want this to go down like that. So what happened was that as the day progressed, I was thinking more about the situation, right? I was asking my parents for their advice. I asked for friends on their advice, and they all came to the conclusion that what I did was wrong. And they said that when it comes to publishing people's names in books and things that go in public that are going to be purchased by, you know, people worldwide, because this book has been purchased in like Brazil, India, other parts of America, and even some parts of South America, which is pretty cool. So, you know, I could understand why they don't want their name in the book without even asking. In my defense, though, I did ask her to read it beforehand, and I said, hey, could you read this for, you know, just to proofread it and just give me some advice on it. She never got to do it because, you know, with school and things like that. But, you know, at the end of the day, I should have still thought about that and, you know, asked. So what happened is that eventually, after I got everyone's opinion, and I thought, and I sat down and I thought about it, and I came to the conclusion that what I did was not okay, and that I should have asked, and that I honestly regretted some of the things I said to her. So by the end of that night, I texted her and I said, hey, I'm really sorry about what I said. I don't mean to. I honestly forgot what else I said. I just remember I apologized to her because I said that, you know, I was thinking about this long term. I've been thinking about this throughout the whole day, and I realized that I was wrong, and I should have, you know, asked, and I should have gone about it this way. And she, you know, she was a bit hesitant at first. She said that she didn't really want to be friends with someone who would say things like that. I didn't want to overstep any boundaries because I knew I already messed up. So I just said, oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that, and, you know, I'll respect your decision. But, you know, she decided to give me another chance to be her friend, and we're still cool at this very moment. But from what that conversation taught me, and from other times I've gone into arguments before, is that, you know, it taught me how to kind of counteract arguments, how to avoid them, and what not to do when you're in arguments. So that's what I want to go through today. So how to avoid getting into an argument. So one of the things, and one of the first things you should do, is look at things from another person's perspective. Because a lot of times when we get into arguments, we only see things through our eyes, right? We only see things how we want to see them, how they make us feel. You know, we don't consider the other person's feelings. Well, you know, you say, oh, well, I don't really care about how you feel about it. This is just the way I feel about it. And if you do that, you're not going to really see their point of view. And that's what I did with this this whole debate and this whole argument that I had with her, because I just saw things from my point of view. I thought, oh, well, I wouldn't get, bent out of shape over this little thing. I don't think this is a big deal. Like, why are you getting so dramatic over this? And that's what I thought, and that's how I would have handled the conversation. But I realized that not everyone's like me. Not everyone's the same. So you can't, only consider your feelings when it comes to arguments. If someone's telling you how they feel, honestly, take a step back, take a breather, and think, okay, this makes them feel that way. I feel a certain way about this situation, and then kind of just try to find a mutual understanding. If this made someone feel bad, I didn't mean for this to make them feel bad, but it did. And now you have to either apologize or just understand where they're coming from and see their side, and not just completely ignore it and just think that you're right and what you think is right all the time. The second thing, this comes down when you're arguing over text, and that is, don't take things too literal, or try not to take things out of context. Now, what I mean is that when you're texting, a lot of times you can take things out of context, whether it's humor, being serious, or just comments, and just think that they meant something else by a certain sentence that you read. Because honestly, sometimes when you're reading text messages, it can be easy to misinterpret what someone's trying to say, whether they're just joking around, whether they're being serious, or you could kind of think that they're maybe attacking you when they're really not. Because one, texts are just words. There's no emotion behind it. Yeah, you can add exclamation points and your LOL. Usually when someone puts LOL in an argument all over text, it's kind of like them saying like, oh, are you serious right now? Are you really gonna argue over this? Are you being for real right now? And I guess it's just making you chuckle because of that. And there was some of that in our exchange when this happened, and honestly, I kind of felt like I was getting attacked. I thought, why is she saying this? Because in my book, I said nothing but good things about her. In my head, I'm thinking all I did was use your name. That's all I did. And I wrote this whole half a page about how the relationship was amazing, how it was awesome. It taught me a lot, how this was a really great point in my life. But I was, like I say, it goes back to the first point. I was just thinking about it from my perspective. I was like, oh, well, I thought about it this way. And, when she was telling me how she felt, I just wasn't, comprehending it through my brain. And I was just taking it as like I was getting attacked, how she felt she wasn't seeing how it made me feel, and all this other stuff. And it just did not go well. And usually when you're arguing through text, there are times where one person or both people can misinterpret what the other is saying, and it can just get even worse. So that's another thing. Try not to misinterpret what someone's saying through text. Don't assume that they're attacking you. Don't assume that they're angry or they want to fight or anything like that. Just kind of stay calm, cool, collected, and if you want, maybe even call them to get a better understanding of where they're coming from or how they're currently feeling. Because you don't want to escalate the situation even worse than it already is. All right, and the last thing, and I would say it's one of the most important things when it comes to argument, is throwing your ego out the door. If you're in the middle of an argument, or you're just starting, or it's towards the end of the argument, and you realize that what you said was wrong, just own up to it and just apologize. Nothing works better than just apologizing, getting it out in the open, and just wanting to move on from that argument. Because what I did in that situation was that I asked other people in my life what they thought. I replayed a lot of things in my head from what happened from that argument, and then I came to a conclusion that I was wrong and I shouldn't have said some of the things I said, and that it was beneficial for me to honestly apologize to her and tell her that I was sorry. Because a lot of times when someone's in an argument, usually either one person has an ego problem where they don't ever think they're wrong, or they just don't want to apologize because they don't want to come off as being the weaker one or that they were the wrong one, and they will always want to look like they were in the right, that they had a point. They shouldn't be the one who apologizes. But honestly, a lot of times when it comes to arguments and stuff, sometimes it can just come down to one person being the bigger person and owning up to their mistakes and just telling the other person, you know what, this is dumb, or I'm sorry that this happened. I really want to just move on from this and still be friends, or, you know, can we just let bygones be bygones? Things like that, you know? Just not being afraid and not letting your ego take over, and, you know, showing that you're not too big to just apologize and admit when you're wrong. That's a big one. Know when you're wrong, and if you are wrong, admit it as soon as possible, because, you know, sometimes friendships or, you know, other relationships can go sour because of that, because one person will not make the effort to go apologize, or one person won't make the effort to think that, you know, if I just kind of come out and say I'm sorry, or if I just come out and acknowledge the problem, then we can move on from this and, you know, be good again. So those are my top 3 solutions on how to avoid arguments. I hope that this was somewhat beneficial for you guys. If you guys are just getting out of an argument, or you might get into one later, and you look back at this video and you think, oh, okay, remember to see their side of the story. Don't let your ego get in the way. Don't be afraid to apologize, and don't take things too literal, or don't assume that their initial reaction is to attack you personally or things like that, especially over through text. And thank you guys again for watching. I will see you guys next week. I hope you have a great week ahead of you guys. Bye.